And is obviously what we've seen is this is exactly the way that we want Jakarta to be. You want people to go out there and enjoy the city and be out in the fresh air. You make the sidewalks, you create the pavement. You want people to enjoy being together and enjoying the public utilities of the city. You create the parks. And, but then you do need to change the infrastructure and change the system, and then that way you change the behavior. Now, going back to investing and attracting good projects, because these are things that require investment, these are things that require planning with financing. What are your thoughts? What are the good projects, good plans that we can ask our investors to start, collaborating with us on?
Sure, but allow me to continue a little bit.
Yes, sure.
What Mayor Ahmad Abu Talib said earlier with regard to investment and development in area that is long-term. And many of us in these political cycles were often find it minimum incentive because the result cannot be presented in the next campaign cycle. Okay, and that is the problem embedded to our political system. So reform in schools and education often we're being left behind. But that's the key for the future of the city. It's about the workforce, it's about the human capital. And if that is not being addressed for a city like Jakarta, we will be a place where everyone coming into the city and enjoying the opportunity, but the people who were here in the city were slowly leaving our city, living away from our city, because they were not able to compete, because the education...
They'll be marginalized, yes.
Exactly, and that has been happening, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And we have been seeing the native Jakartans were moving away from the city. Why? Because they lose the competitions with laborers coming in from outside. So, but Desi, we did a reform in 2019 on school enrollment scheme. And if I may say, this is one of the decisions that we made that we had to be facing strong protests from the middle class of Jakarta. Very strong. We rarely experience that. Why? Because we rearranged that to create more opportunity for everyone, from equal opportunity. Not only for those from the bottom, but making our enrollment scheme, recruitment system, becoming equal opportunity for everyone. You remember that period?
Absolutely. Parents freaked out because they can't put their kids in their favorite schools, for example.
Exactly, because now the favorite schools are no longer admitting students from only the privileged families, but it is now enrolling from all segments of society. And if you go to schools today, those schools, you will be seeing children whose parents were only educated at elementary education. In the past, 90% were highly educated. Now, it's equally distributed. But we will not be seeing the result next 5 years. We will only be seeing the result 10, 15 years. So what I'm saying is this. Excuse me? Probably later.
Yeah, probably later.
So those schools now admitting students from all levels of society. And I told our team, this is where education serves as social economic escalator. You step into that escalator, you're moving up. But if the escalator were only given to the privileged families, then we'll not be able to see our city able to sort of provide the inner city labor supply. So let me put that as a note, so that when you see Jakarta in the long run, I can also guarantee that you will be able to see supply of human capital from within our city, not only from outside the city. So that's one. And then two, with regards to some of the project, we have the leadership of our state-owned enterprises here that is able to sort of go on the detail, and all the pictures were, or the opportunities were listed out there. But the message is this: whenever it comes to public works, we are committed to provide the necessary initial investment so that any investment that we are inviting partners to join, it will be something that is also good for business. Give you one illustration. We expand our public transport. Let me tell you that the public transport in our city, all the buses were not owned by Transjakarta. Pak Dirut Transjakarta, can you stand up? This is the CEO of Transjakarta. He manages all the buses, all the system, but he doesn't own the bus. Who are the owners of the bus? The operators. The operators were providing the service. We are off-taker. So we sort of invest our money through Transjakarta to create, in a quote, businesses for the bus operators. They are the one that double the fleet. They are the one who sort of enjoy, in a quote, the development and the expansions of our transportation system. And then we know that public transport is expensive. And if we use this old model in which passengers were paying directly to the operators, then it will be too expensive for anyone to ride a bus in Jakarta. It'll be too expensive. It's no longer rational. So to ride a bus, you have to be altruistic. You have to be, someone with idealism, for the green economy and all of that. But we then put our government money into Transjakarta to pay the gap between the expenses and the revenue, so that for these operators, it is still a feasible business model. However, we know for sure that in the long run, as we have more ridership, we will be attracting more people more businesses to come and join this model, and Transjakarta will one day be getting more non-fare box revenue than the fare box revenues. But it will take time. And during that period, our commitment to step in and making sure the market is working. Because if we don't allow the market to work, then public transport in Jakarta may not be sustainable. We need to allow that system. So, Mbak Desi, our approach for all this project is that there is a commitment from the government side to provide the initial money. And fortunately, it was mentioned earlier about the size of our budget. Jakarta government has quite a sizable budget. At the national level, if we are included among other institutions, including the ministry, we are ranked the 5th largest institutions in terms of budget. Capacity, we would like to allocate the money for major infrastructures that help our purpose.
Yeah, that's great. As long as every penny actually goes there, it doesn't get sort of lost in the way. Mayor
Well,
you wanted to
there
add
is
something.
really a wrong perception among a lot of my colleagues in the world concerning what is the government doing, what is the market doing. You cannot leave things to the market if you don't have competition. Then the market will not function. So public transport in hands of the markets, knowing there is no competition, is not going to function. So we are in Rotterdam happy to own the company that is doing the public transport. It's our own company for decades. And I created in 2010, together with my colleague, the mayor of The Hague, the Metropolitan Authority. That is The Hague, Rotterdam, and 23 cities together. I went to the parliament and asked him to vote a bill to give me that authority to be the highest authority for public transport in this whole region. And I am. I am the chair of that region, and I take care of the public transport. So the tariffs are in our hands. The salaries of our drivers are in our hands. We own the machines, and we're also responsible for the infrastructure where the buses and the metro and the trams are driving. So it's misperception that a market can operate in a country or in a city if there is only one of it. Then you give a monopoly the space, then that market's company will dictate whatever it wants. So get out of that system. Don't give monopolies the right to operate in a city if there is no competition. And I think it's a really important notion, a very basic one, and I think even the World Bank can endorse that. You cannot create monopolies if there is not a competition in the public space.
Yeah, the competition is good, and especially it will bring prices down. But just, by the way, how many more years? I mean, how long can you get to the re-elected again, mayor in?
My entire life.
Because this is the key. This is actually a key to a success of getting
Netherlands,
your.
The term of a mayor is 6 years, and there are no term limits.
No, there are no term limits.
No term limits. As long as the citizens trust you, I'm elected by the city council. The city council is doing the work. So if I finish my term, it will be 18 years.
My goodness.
And I have no idea what I will finish that term. I simply don't know. But as long as I'm healthy and I still am original and have the ideas, I like to do this type of work. I will continue.
Well, this is the kind of problems we have here, because here in Indonesia, everything is exactly short term. Actually, you're finishing very soon, Governor, and I'm worried, what will happen to all these exciting.
It will not finish. Read my lips.
No, I mean, there has to be sustainability, obviously, in all these things. We can't suddenly, start building things and then, you're gone, and then the next governor decides to do something else.
That's phenomenon across the globe when it comes to democracy. Yes. But Mayor Ahmad visit to Jakarta is the 5th time. So the 6th visit, he will be coming as Prime Minister of Netherlands. So we'll welcome him as the Prime Minister later on. But and also, let me address on that continuity. That's why it is important on the issue of institutionalizations. And our approach, my approach at least, when I step into office, we have leadership that has been appointed by the previous governor. And my approach has not been that I'm going to get rid of anyone appointed by the previous governor. Nope, not at all. Even the secretary, sekda itu apa sekda itu?
The regional
secretary, who is the COO, okay? He passed away because of COVID. Then there was a replacement, but I did not replace. And including leadership of the state-owned enterprises. I've been seeing state-owned enterprises in other countries. Why their growth are so good? Because their leadership were being kept as long as they're performing. So I said 3 things. Why we replace someone. 1 is you're not delivering in terms of its technocracy. If you're not delivering, you're out. 2, if you're not loyal to the mission. Not loyal to the person, but if you're loyal to the mission, because we need to be in line. Everyone is working in the same direction. Number 2, loyal. If you're not loyal to the mission, then you're out. Okay? Number 3 is your term is coming. That's it. Because then there's no way we can do. But that's the 3. So when I call someone, we thank you for your service, but your service ends, then I'll tell him one of these 3 reasons. 1, because you're not delivering, or 2, because you're not loyal to this mission, and number 3, because your term ends. And I can guarantee many of the leadership of the state-owned enterprises who are here have been around before I step into office. So the idea of a continuity has to be in the mind of anyone elected into office. because you cannot just step in and you want to make a change. Yes, and change is needed, but continuity is needed. So that's why I always said, the mission is 2C, continuity and change.
Yes.
If the problem's more than the thing that need to continue, then we're talking about change first and then continuity. But otherwise, continuity first.
But seeing is believing in Indonesia. They've been talking about this MRT, Mayor Ahmed, is like, I've been in the media, TV industry for so long, for over 3 decades, and it's only recently that we've got this mass rapid transit, which is absolutely amazing for a country, for a capital city the size of Jakarta. But how are we doing for time, by the way? Because I'm not wearing my Fitbit. I'm not wearing my 10,000 steps a day watch.
It's still not midnight. So.
Do we have? Can we get some questions from the audience? And if you could just raise your hands up.
To the right
yes.
of them, yeah.
Tolong ada ini. Could you please stand up just very quickly? Identify yourself. Who would you like to answer the questioning? If you could make it very brief and to the point, that would be great. Silakan berdiri.
My name is Owo, and I still remember, I'm from British Chambers of Commerce, part of the board management. I still remember that our first conference in Masamis, decades ago, when we start our foundations with Pak Teguh Stendrik and Romo Magnis Suseno, and you're still in Indonesia Mengajar at the time. In relation to that, decades ago you mentioned that your mission in Indonesia Mengajar, the teachers who you replace in the small islands, in the small cities, that you have perspective that probably the next futures there will be a CEO from the Indonesia Mengajar who have the grassroots mindset and also global worldwide mindset. And then what you have been done. I mean, what we've done during the governor compared to the what you've done is in the Minister of Educations, and compared to the Indonesia Mengajars. It's in relations to for the next decades, including for the missions of the investment also, as the CEO local.
Okay, Pak Owo, right?
Owo.
Okay, Pak Owo from the British Chamber. The question is, you had your program Indonesia Mengajar, and then you said, one day those that you educated in the Indonesia Mengajar, and then during your term as a Minister of Education, how do you see them? Are they, thriving from? This is a question for the governor.
Should we take more questions and then we'll answer, or just one by one? So for time concern.
Okay. Well, we can take more questions as long as we remember what the questions are. Do we have? Let's take just one more question. So it's anybody else?
Okay. Let me address Owo.
All right.
Good to see you again. It's been years, but let me address. He was talking about a project that we started.
It's quite long. It's quite a
12
while
years
ago.
ago.
Yes.
It's still happening, and we have around 1,400 graduates, I believe, by now, alumni of that project. So we recruited best university students, recruit them, and then deploy them to the remote areas of Indonesia where there is no electricity, there is no phone signals, minimum infrastructures, and teach there for a year. And then after that, they come back to Jakarta or to Indonesia, will come back to wherever they are, and then work for private sector. So we have been seeing many of them in the private sectors were moving up the ladder because when they were recruited under age of 25, so by now they're around 35 to 40s, maximum 40s, because this is only 12 years old project.
And the program is still running, right?
The program is still running. And we're optimistic that we will be able to see leaders in the business community, in the private sectors, who have grassroots understanding about our city, about our nation. So again, that is the kind long term. That's why when I'm here in managing our city, I often told our friends, let's not worry too much about what is written today. But let's concern more about what the historian will be writing in the future, okay? Because they will be writing with complete data set in the long run. And many of the decisions we're making today cannot be felt the result in the next day or next year. It will be, years to come. But let's not get it wrong, that we don't only focus on things that we can present for the next election, but let's do something for the next generations. And that's what we're trying to do here. That is what I said, consistency of thinking that I'm trying to hold. Thank you.
That's why education is important. I have been reminded that actually time is up, but I would like our panelists to have a last remarks. Maybe we start with you first, Luis. You, the urban development specialist.
Thank you
last
very much.
Thoughts, and what would you like to see? And are we on the right track, Jakarta,
I
when
think
it comes
absolutely. I think the focus on people is key. I think the message from the mayor and also the governor that housing is probably, as it's the most important thing for families, it's probably the most important piece of infrastructure in cities. So more investment needs to go there. And of course, education is a key issue that is at the top of our agenda as well. The World Bank is the largest financier of education in the developing world, and together with other pieces of investments in health, education, transport, and cities, that's how we are trying to support governments on their challenges. So thank you for this opportunity and for this wonderful discussion.
Great, Mayor.
Well, my final message with an example is another wonderful book written by a monument of a gentleman in the Netherlands. We called him always the under king of the country. The book was written under the title Think Big and Act Small. What we need in leadership is not, it's not a criticism about the World Bank, not at all. What we need is not a leadership that has a vision and a plan and budget. That's what we think. A vision, a plan, and budget. I moved out of that thanks to my experience. What we need is visionary people.
Visionary.
Visionary. That's not the same as having a vision. A vision is probably to cover your government period of 4 years. But being visionary is having a thought about how a country will develop the coming 30 years, the dot on the horizon. I know two natural leaders who had not been elected in the world, who had a vision for the short term and were visionary for the long term. Nelson Mandela, come out of the prison, had no title of being president, but he was the leader. Never elected. It was not the outcome of the polls. He came out of the prison and was leader of the nation and had a dot on the horizon. And what wanted his citizens? They wanted one thing, the black people in South Africa, and we all know that, they wanted revenge. And he said, that's not going to happen. That's not the way I think about the far future of South Africa. He was not fulfilling the wish of his compatriots. And he was a leader, a true leader. And another one was Gandhi. And Gandhi had also a long-term vision, how to keep India together. And the only thing to do that is to keep Muslims and Hindus together. There was a long-term vision. And the small step to do that was appointing, after the British occupancy, appointing a Muslim as a prime minister. That was against the will of the Hindus and has been assassinated. He became a victim of being a visionary man. So what we need really is more leadership in terms of where are we going and what are the small steps that we have to take today and tomorrow, because our people need steps, visible steps of today and tomorrow. And I would like to try to reshuffle the way as local leaders and other leaders think about how we structure our thinking to reach the international, the big goals that we would like to find. And that's not the same as laying down a bicycle lane tomorrow. But we need it. Think big, act small.
Yeah, visionary leaders. What we're lacking, unfortunately, these days. You mentioned two people who are no longer with us. I wish we can.
After Gandhi, in my belief, there was one long time later, and happy enough, it was a woman, Merkel.
Yeah.
And then after Merkel, nobody.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why the world is where we find ourselves at the moment. Anis, your last words, and what would you actually like to see come out of our discussion?
Think big, start small, and with this, act now. So the action need to be done today. So today with this session, we're only opening up. I would like to invite you to participate in the transformations of our city. We have outlined that this transformation is not simply about hard infrastructure, but it is about transforming the society. We're trying to make our city more livable with various different instruments. And our approach has been a collaborative approach. What does it mean? We serve as collaborator, and we invited the citizen to be co-creator. So you come up with new ideas, tell us, and we're happy to engage, to explore, and to adopt. So it is not government-driven agenda only. So if you come with ideas, you know, Mr. Governors, Mr. Head of Department, we have ideas of doing A, B, C, D, we're happy to adopt. So that's sort of the approach. So the menu is not only coming from us.
Yeah.
This is our city. Our vision is to make it a global city, but also livable, and we invite everyone to be part of this journey, not only being a passive passengers in this journey, but we're inviting you to be active, engaging participants in this process.
Okay.
And with that, I'd like to again invite all of you to participate, and thank you for joining this important session with all of us. Terima kasih.
Absolutely. Yes, big hands. So what are you all waiting for? Act now. Once again, thank you very much to our distinguished panelists, Luis, Mayor Ahmed, and also Governor Anis. And I think, you know, we're well past the time allocated to us, but I'm sure you all agree that we had a very interesting, fruitful discussion. It's certainly food for thought as you go now and have your lunch. Now, I would like to return this event to our MC. Amelia, are you still there?
Yeah, incredible, very exciting discussion. And next, to all of our speakers and moderator, we'd like to have a group photo session together. So for that, kami persilakan kepada teman-teman media sekalian untuk mengabadikan momen yang sangat spesial ini. That is our first plenary discussion with our great speakers and our wonderful moderator, Mbak Desi Anwar.